Welcome. My name is Eileen Wiviott. I am the acting senior minister of this congregation. It is good to be with you. Whether the Unitarian Church of Evanston is your spiritual home or you are seeking comfort and connection in uncertain times, we are grateful that you are with us. We are an inclusive community, and we seek truth in love and strive to nurture the human spirit for a world made whole. We are guided by our principles and values, which remind us in every moment and through every challenge that each of us matters and that we are all connected through the vast and beautiful web of existence. Together, let us remember our oneness, our kinship with one another, and may we hold one another in heart and mind with tenderness and careful attention. You'll notice that there are many links of connection in the comments section below, including credits for the readings, links to the virtual religious education, and for donations, and to be added to our email newsletter list. A few additional announcements are all church Zoom meeting will continue on Wednesdays at 5:30. Sorry for those who weren't able to join in last week. We had some technical difficulties, but we will send you a reminder email in the early afternoon on Wednesday with the link. Our annual meeting will be held next Sunday, immediately following the worship service. Please register ahead of time if you are a voting member. You should have received an email, and there'll be information about that in the newsletter as well. It's not too late to complete the interim survey, and you can find that on UCE's website. And finally, we'll hold a virtual coffee hour after this service for 30 minutes on Zoom. You can find the link to the Zoom coffee and conversation time in the comments below or from the newsletter. And now I invite you to get your chalices ready, set a place for yourself and your family as we join in beloved community. Welcome to worship.
Love should grow up like a wild iris in the fields, unexpected after a terrible storm, opening a purple mouth to the rain with not a thought to the future, ignorant of the grass and the graveyard of leaves around, forgetting its own beginning. Love should grow like a wild iris, but does not. Love more often is to be found in kitchens at the dinner hour. Tired, out, and hungry, lingers over tables in houses where the walls record movements. While the cook is probably angry and the ingredients of the meal are budgeted, while a child calls, feed me now. And the mother, not quite hysterical, says over and over, wait, just a bit, just a bit. Love should grow up in the fields like a wild iris, but never does really startle anyone, was to be expected, was to be predicted, is almost absurd, goes on from day to day, not quite blindly, gets taken to the cleaners every fall, sings old songs over and over, and falls over the same piece of rug that never gets tacked down, gives up, wants to hide, is not brave, knows too much, is not like an iris growing wild, but more like staring into space in the streets, not quite sure which door it was, annoyed about the sidewalks being slippery, trying all the doors, thinking if love wished the world to be well, it would be well. Love should grow up like a wild iris, but doesn't. It comes from the midst of everything else, sees like an iris of the eye when the light is right, feels in blindness, and when there is nothing else, is tender, blinks, and opens face up to the sky.
Bright morning stars are rising, They are sowing seeds of gladness. They are sowing seeds of gladness. They are sowing seeds of gladness. Days are breaking in my soul.
We light this chalice in northern Illinois on the traditional homelands of the Council of the Three Fires, the Odawa, Ojibwe, and Potawatomi nations. Many other tribes, such as the Miami, Menominee, Ho-Chunk, Sac, and Fox, also called this area home. Located at the intersection of several great waterways, the land naturally became a site of travel and healing for many tribes. We name these in honor and respect. Please join in saying these words as you light your chalices at home. We light this chalice in gratitude for the nurturers, the caregivers, those on the front lines in homes with children, in hospitals and care facilities, feeding the hungry and loving the world into wholeness. And please join in saying the words of our historic and living covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. The hymn is number 38, Morning Has Broken, sung by section leader Morgan Mastrangelo and played by Gregory Shifrin.
Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where God's feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one night Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
Today's Time for All Ages is The Invisible String by Patrice Karst and illustrated by Jeff Stevenson. Liza and Jeremy, the twins, were asleep one calm and quiet night. Suddenly, it began to rain very hard. Thunder rumbled until it got so loud that it woke them up. "Mommy, Mommy," they cried out as they ran to her. "Don't you worry, you two. It's just the storm making all that noise. Go back to bed." "We want to stay close to you," said Jeremy. "We're scared." Mom said, "You know, we're always together no matter what." "But how can we be together when you're out here and we're in bed?" said Liza. Mom held something right in front of them and said, "This is how." Rubbing their sleepy eyes, the twins came closer to see what Mom was holding. I was about your age when my mommy first told me about the invisible string. "I don't see a string," said Jeremy. "You don't need to see the invisible string. People who love each other are always connected by a very special string made of love." "But if you can't see it, how do you know it's there?" asked Liza. "Even though you can't see it with your eyes, you can feel it with your heart and know that you're always connected to everyone you love. When you're at school and you miss me, your love travels all the way along the string until I feel it tug on my heart. And when you tug it right back, we feel it in our hearts," said Jeremy. "Does Jasper the cat have an invisible string?" asked Liza. "She sure does," said Mom. "And best friends like me and Lucy?" asked Liza. "Best friends too. How far can the string reach?" "Anywhere and everywhere," Mom said. "Would it reach me even if I were a submarine captain deep in the ocean?" asked Jeremy. "Yes," Mom said, "even there." "Or a mountain climber?" "Even there." "A ballerina in France?" "Even there." "A jungle explorer?" "Even there." "How about an astronaut in space?" "Yes, even there." And Jeremy quietly said, "Can my string reach all the way to Uncle Brian in heaven?" "Yes, even there." "Does the string go away when you're mad at us?" "Never," said Mom. "Love is stronger than anger, and as long as love is in your heart, the string will always be there. Even when you get older and can't agree about things like what movie to see or what game to play in the back seat or what time to go to bed." "Oh, that's right. You two should be in bed." And with that, they all laughed as Mom chased the twins back to their beds. Within a few minutes, they were asleep, even though the storm was still making the same loud noise outside. As they slept, they started dreaming of all the invisible strings they have, and all the strings their friends have, and their friends have, and their friends have, until everyone in the world was connected by invisible strings. No one is ever alone.
We hope that everybody in your home is staying together instead of going off into their own little places as they would normally do. When we sing This Little Light of Mine, normally our children would go to their religious education classes, but I hope that they're staying with you. For these last weeks that we've been worshiping together online, we've been asking you to enter your joys and sorrows in the YouTube chat box. But we've discovered that some of these messages are not coming through, even though you can see them clearly. We can't always see them. This happened to my own kid last week. So, moving forward, we're asking you to submit your joys and sorrows ahead of time through a Google form that can be found on the homepage of our website. Alternatively, if you have trouble with that, you can send an email to me or to Reverend Karen Mooney. So these are the joys and sorrows that have been shared with us ahead of time. From last week, Wiviott wrote, "My older sibling will be graduating from college," which actually happened yesterday, "and moving on to 6 years of graduate and doctoral study in history at the University of California in Santa Barbara." And that will take place at some point. We're not sure when, but we are all very proud. Mary Dudek wrote, sharing this quote from Roald Dahl as a joy. "This life is a series of thousands of tiny miracles. Notice them." I think that's one of the ways that we're going to get through this pandemic together. And from Peg Bocard, "I do miss my mom." We know that these are not the only joys and sorrows that are on our hearts and on our minds, and that spread all over the world right now and always. So let's take a moment of quiet now to read to ourselves the joys and sorrows that have been added to the chat. We hold these together in care and tenderness. And at the same time, I invite you to say aloud the names of those you are holding in your heart, those who are sick or who have died, and those who have lost dear loved ones. As we say their names in our own homes, may they gather on the winds to be held in this collective community that knows no walls. We'll be quiet together for a moment. We hold these as well as the joys and sorrows that remain unspoken. Together, we share our celebrations and lessen the burden of our grief.
I invite you now to join in a spirit of prayer and meditation as I read these words by Victoria Weinstein. We reflect in thanksgiving this day for all those whose lives have nurtured ours, the life-giving ones who heal with their presence, who listen in sympathy, who give wise advice, but only when asked for it. We are grateful for all those who have mothered us, who have held us gently in times of sorrow, who celebrate with us our triumphs, no matter how small, who notice when we are changed and grew, who praised us for taking risks, who took genuine pride in our success, and who expressed genuine compassion when we did not succeed. On this day that honors mothers, let us honor all mothers, men and women alike, who from somewhere in their being have freely and wholeheartedly given life and sustenance and vision to us. May we find life-giving ways, strength for birthing and nurturing spirit, that we may take attentive care of our world, our community, and those precious beings entrusted to us by biology or by destiny or by friendship, fellowship, or fate. Give us the heart of a mother today. Amen.
Blessed Spirit of my life, give me strength through stress and strife. Help me live with dignity. Let me know serenity. Fill me with a vision. Clear my mind of fear and confusion. When my thoughts flow restlessly, let peace find a home in me. Spirit of great mystery, hear the still small voice in me. Help me live my wordless creed as I comfort those in need. Fill me with compassion, be the source of my intuition. Then when life is done for me, let love be my legacy.
UCE remains a vital part of the world and our community, and because we continue to need one another in the blessings of community, we take this time to invite you to give to our shared plate. Half of our loose plate every week goes to a worthy organization which has been selected by the Social Justice Council. Today's offering and that of March will be shared with the Poor People's Campaign of Illinois, which confronts the interlocking evils of systemic racism, poverty, ecological devastation, militarism, and the war economy. They are planning a virtual moral march on Washington for June 20th. You can text to give, or you can send in a check or give from our website. If you do send in a check, please indicate in the memo line if you would like it to apply to the shared offering, your pledge, or another fund of the church. Please give as generously as you are able, and may what you give bring you joy. Thank you for your ongoing generosity. The reading today is called Humanizing Mother by Jane Rainey Jepka. On Mother's Day, one expects to read about the wonder and glory of motherhood. While I can tell you from personal experience that we mothers like to be appreciated, I can also tell you that a rosy and sentimental Mother's Day column always refers to mothers in some other family. The picture painted there is not me, not my mom, not my grandmother's. In my family, mothers did not suffer any more than other mortals, and we are not particularly unsung. We complain when we trip over shoes on the living room floor, and we expect a little praise for moving them to where they belong. We do not deserve or expect devotion from our children. We wanted to have children. It was our idea. If they come around from time to time when they are grown-ups, we are ever so glad. But if they live their lives as secure and independent souls, we value that. Motherhood in my family is not always the most important job in the world. Some of us are actually good at it. Some of us shuffle along and do our best, and a few are better off in other professions. We try to face that. Mother's Day is no time to romanticize parenthood. Parenting is a down-to-earth process if ever there was one. So this Mother's Day, let's humanize Mom. Thank her for doing what she could, given all the dirty socks. Thank her for loving you as well as she was able in spite of your 3 years in junior high. And then let her thank you for the privilege of being your mother.
In 1870, Julia Ward Howe, a Unitarian devastated by images of the carnage of the Civil War, put out a call for women to rise up and oppose war in all its forms. She wanted women to come together across national lines to recognize that what we hold in common above what divides us and commit to finding peaceful resolutions to conflicts. She issued a declaration hoping to gather women in a Congress of action. She failed in her attempt to get formal recognition of a Mother's Day for peace. Her idea was influenced by Anna Jarvis, a young Appalachian homemaker who had attempted, starting in 1858, to improve sanitation through what she called Mother's Work Days. Anna Jarvis's daughter, also named Anna Jarvis, knowing of her mother's work and the work of Julia Ward Howe, seeking to honor their work, started her own crusade to found a Mother's Day for women, a Memorial Day for women. The first such Mother's Day was celebrated in West Virginia in 1907 in the church where the elder Anna Jarvis had taught Sunday school. From there, the custom caught on, spreading eventually to 45 states. And in 1914, President Woodrow Wilson declared the first National Mother's Day and declared it to fall annually on the second Sunday in May. Somewhere in the intervening years, that spirit and that intention has gotten lost. What had been a festival in which mothers might be united in their public witness to maternal values has been reduced to a celebration of mythical motherhood that unites the women of America in a tangle of mixed emotions. A cultural myth is an often contrived and idealistic image or story that grows up innocently out of the lives of one group or another to give shape or meaning to shared experience. Over time, those stories become institutionalized, sometimes as a map to guide us through a similar experience. Some of these maps are universal and hold their value over time. Many others embed themselves in the psyches of well-meaning human beings as impossible standards that are, well, impossible. As with so many other cultural myths, the myth of the good mother has emerged slowly and persistently over time, adding each generation's version of unrealistic expectations. This year, this day, promoted passionately by florists and the makers of greeting cards, has arrived amidst the realities of working at home, remote learning, in the face of uncertain resources and forced parental proximity for some, and forced distancing for others. At best, the celebration of Mother's Day brings joy for those whose temperament and circumstances are able to navigate the seas of motherhood with grace and equanimity. Today can feel like a reward for a year well spent. For many others, this day can feel like an annual performance review, where we are invited to align ourselves and our mothers with that mythical creation known as the good mother. Ratings and rewards in excess of what we feel is deserved can make us feel guilty. Rewards and ratings less than what we feel we have earned can make us feel, at best, like martyrs, and at worst, undervalued and unappreciated. Never mind that the standard measure of motherhood is based on a composite role who exists only as a cultural myth. Now, one of the many websites devoted to Mother's Day sums up the standard like this: a mother is the greatest and most precious gift we receive from the Almighty. She makes each day a glowing one with her unconditional love. So on Mother's Day, make her feel on top of the world by showering her with all your love. Give her lovely gifts. Cook her favorite recipes, or send her our free Mother's Day e-cards. Make her day really special. For over 7 decades as a daughter and a mother, and now a grandmother, I have been coming to terms with the power of this mythology in spite of a lack of free e-cards. Mother's Day still presents a particular irrational challenge to me because I want desperately for the messages on greeting cards to be true for everyone without exception, for all mothers to be able to receive such appreciation and acknowledgement and gratitude with a sense of true deserving, and all children of all ages to be able to offer the same without reservation. We would all get A's. We'd all get promotions. Furthermore, I confess that on this one day of the year, I, who pride myself as having a fully voluntary relationship with my 4 adult children, must struggle mightily against being cut to the quick if one or the other of them does not call or send a card which affirms their value in their lives. I am happy with less than perfect indulgence, such as the message from my eldest son, which reads on the outside, "Moms, they're like dads, only prettier." And on the inside, it says, I'm sorry, "Moms, they're like dads, only smarter." And on the inside, it says, "and prettier. Happy Mother's Day." To which he added in his distinctive style and script, "Thank you for being prettier than my dad or John. It really means a lot to me. Love, Chris." Well, I take what I could get. But cultural pressure to measure up remains alive and continues to influence, for better or for worse, the process of women claiming their own unique identities and a sense of personal wholeness and authentic relationship with the people we parent and who have parented us. Let us take just a moment to sum up the measure of the good mother. My favorite summary appears as part of a 2004 Mother's Day campaign, which was organized in an effort to counter the messages and images of mothers they encounter in the media. So here is the image that this campaign sought to challenge. Quote, "The perfect nurturing mom, always attentive to the children, does not miss a school event, bakes the brownies from scratch. Plus, the do-it-all mom is the perfect professional career woman, always available for work, stays under the fast track and makes it to CEO. Plus, she has a perfect marriage, perfect sex life, and perfect kids. Good mothers love every minute of it, never feel ambivalent, never have a bad day, never yell at their kids, and are always smiling, relaxed, and in control. They put their family's interest ahead of their own and do not seek their own fulfillment. They are glamorous, young, attractive, perfectly fit, designer dressed, and so are their children. They love to do housework, are obsessed with cleaning." These are the moms at whom most greeting cards are directed. And if you are or have one of them by nature or nurture, consider yourself blessed, unquote. But most mothers, even the ones who come close to this standard, are in reality at times tired, cranky, arbitrary, dumpy, unavailable, inarticulate, unfair, ambivalent, incompetent, reactive, unprepared, disorganized, or impatient, and can be found wandering through the bakery aisles clutching a package of commercial brownies. In short, wholly, imperfect, and human, and good enough. This is not to imply that all mothering is good enough, that we should have no standards for what children have a right to expect. It's not good enough to fail or refuse to attend to our children's needs for basic food, shelter, and safety. It's not good enough to be consistently hurtful or unavailable or unloving, or to not deny children education and access to basic cultural resources. But the reality is that mothers and children are born together every day in an astonishing range of circumstances that are less than ideal for making every day a glowing one. Children are born to mothers whose own physical, emotional, spiritual needs were not adequately met. And they do grow up, and sometimes they pass on those deficits to the next generation. But the human spirit is also resilient, and many individuals, without the benefit of homemade brownies or designer jeans or soccer camp or the constant selfless attention of a devoted maternal presence, become whole and contributing members of society and often become themselves good enough parents. And this is the key to something I believe passionately. Motherhood or fatherhood is not a role, a prescription, a formula that can be measured and summed up on a greeting card. It's a committed relationship, fraught with all of the demands and ambiguities and joys and frustrations and challenges and surprises and rewards that come in any committed relationship as the individuals change and learn about their gifts and limitations across overlapping life stages. The parent-child relationship, of course, is inherently complicated by the fact that from the very beginning, agendas are mutually exclusive. It's a parent's job to nurture and guide and protect. It's a child's job to grow and risk and individuate. Nature does not ordain that children remain connected throughout their lives to their parents. What holds human parents and children together is that we are, for better and for worse, inextricably imprinted by our early relationship experience. What is more, how we are being imprinted is in any given moment largely a mystery. If we are able to communicate directly, it can be less so. If out of shame or fear or concern about how well we are embodying a role or a mythical standard, we hold back our best efforts to make our needs and our wishes and our expectations known, parents and children alike can have personalities shaped under the weight of misunderstanding. It is in the context of real relationship that we become whole. Over time, our parents become human. Our children can forgive us, claim their own stories, choose to have children whom they will disappoint about different things. I think that at best we are able to stop trying so hard to get it right and to do our best to make it real. Family relationships are at the very core of human identity formation. Mother, father, husband, wife, daughters, sons, names for human beings all struggling to use whatever resources we can to seek out some sense of well-being with the resources we have available to us from birth. This is not a contest. It's a commitment to doing the best we can in the face of uncertain outcomes. I have come to know myself as a good enough mother. My children are all grown, and we are mostly proud of each other and find pleasure in each other's company. That's my criteria. You can set your own. Good enough mothering is like Unitarian Universalism is a good enough religion. It doesn't provide all the answers, but it creates a context, a framework, and a structure that holds all of the promises of relational wholeness. Congregations and families in all of our configurations are the places where we learn to be in relationships that sustain us in all of our living and teach us the meaning of love and commitment. It's Mother's Day. Let us celebrate that love that comes from the midst of everything. Sees like the iris of an eye. When the light is right, feels in blindness, and when there is nothing else, is tender, blinks, and opens face up to the sky. Happy Mother's Day, everyone.
Sorry. As we extinguish the chalice, please join in saying these words. As we extinguish this flame, let us seek to remember the wholeness of our lives, the weaving of light and shadow in this great and astonishing dance in which we move. Our hymn is number 6, Just as Long as I Have Breath.
Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth.
Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love.
Because of those who came before, we are. In spite of their failings, we believe. In spite of, because of, and in spite of the horizons of their vision, we too dream. Let us remember to praise, to live in the moment, to love mightily, to bow to the mystery.